on Blackboard. But what I've done, and I'm using a small piece of cardboard, and I've got yours over there. It's important that they're same thickness, because we're going to run them all at the same pressure. But what I've done is I've cut a piece of foam core, and I've got tons of foam core. You don't have to buy any foam core. But I've cut it the width of the paper, about 2 inches thick. And I kind of lined the paper up with it on Blackboard. But what I've done, and I'm using a small piece of cardboard, and I've got yours over there. It's important that they're same thickness, because we're going to run them all at the same pressure. But what I've done is I've cut a piece of foam core, and I've got tons of foam core. You don't have to buy any foam core. But I've cut it the width of the paper, about 2 inches thick. And I kind of lined the paper up with it. See, I'm a little off. And then glued it down. And I actually we've got that stack of books in the back. I just sat some of those books on it. So this longer piece of foam core is where I'm going to put the metal tabs. And it doesn't really matter at this point where you put them. Because I'm going to line the plastic ones on the paper up with them. I try to give them, the farther apart they are, the more accurate your registration is going to be. So I kind of slide them out to the end. And then I'm going to use packing tape. Oh, one thing you should do, once you've got to get them in place, before you tape them, see this little oval that you have in it? Go ahead and take a pencil and kind of mark that oval, because if something happens and then screwed up my tape, if something happens and these pull loose, it helps you to come back to the same spot. If not, it's a much bigger pain in the butt to find your registration again, because it involves using tracing paper and kind of going back and starting from scratch over what you've already printed. So I tape that down good, then I do the same with the one on the other side. This is why I buy Christmas bags rather than wrapping paper. So I kind of tape that down good. It's not a bad idea. Like, I'll go back and maybe even reinforce this with a little bit more tape. Then taking one sheet of paper at a time, what I've done is mark, when I had the paper laying there, I marked, I don't know if you can see it on the board or not, but I marked both side and bottom. I'm going to line that up. Make sure it's up tight, even if it doesn't line up. And then I take the plastic pins, oops, pick it up a little bit. Put them up against the metal tab, and then tape it. And it doesn't matter, like, that part of the paper is going to get ripped, but that really doesn't matter, because when we take the pins off, it's going to get ripped, but that doesn't matter because we've got our 2-inch border allows us to rip this right off. So, and I would do that with all kind of carefully pop it up then. Do that with the next one. And I've got plenty of the little plastic tabs, so you can run as many prints as you want. But you just kind of pop them both in place, let them lay there. And it really doesn't, whoops. Like I've tried to do it, it's in a way where I can center the block on the paper, just so the border's even all the way around. That's why I marked the edge of the paper. But in terms of the registration itself, that really doesn't matter. Because once you have the pins in place, and the corresponding plastic tabs, your print is automatically going to drop right over the other color. It's like, if you're careful when you position the block in this jig, your prints should be like, there should be nothing shifted in terms of the registration at all. Like you could do a pencil line and drop it right on, you know, and the next one do another pencil line thickness, and it should drop right on top of each other. If you have thin white lines, if you're printing on white paper, that's going to be the first cuts you make. Those are the ones that really test your registration, because you're printing all these layers of ink, right? White's going to have all, so if you're even one of those colors, the registration's off a little bit, that white line that you cut initially will disappear, you know, because you're going to